Okay, so we are up and running. Now, guys, while I do wait for all the attendees to get on board, and I can see people starting to sign on, which is fantastic. You've got a couple of people on your screen. I'll introduce them shortly if, when needed. Sam Painter is joining us today. I'll introduce him very shortly. Thank you for coming along, Sam. Kirsty Patterson is also here as always. Welcome along, Kirst. You may have a very easy night tonight. You may not have to get involved too much, but if I do need you, we will call on you. But thanks for being here. Welcome everyone. Obviously our second landlord webinar for 2021, which is really great. Well, not landlord, rental provider. I'm still getting used to that, Sam. It's taking me a little bit. But thank you for joining us. Now, while I do wait for everyone else still to log on, make sure we've got everyone. Just run through some housekeeping. For most of you who are regulars, you will know all of these, so sorry for boring you. But for our first time joiners, if you do have any questions throughout this evening, you should see at the bottom of your screen a little Q&A section. If you can just write any of your questions in that would be fantastic. Kirsty will monitor those. We have left some time, and we always leave time at the end to answer any of your questions. If we can, we'll answer them as we go. Sam's pretty informative, so I'm sure he'll be able to inform you as we go as well. Now, we've created these events to host our own landlords, of course, but rental providers. I've got to get that out of my script. But we do also open this up to other investors along the way, private landlords, as well as other agents out there to help bring everyone up to speed as well. So if you are not one of our current landlords, firstly, welcome. It's great to have you here. But please be aware that the information that we do provide, although it's generally relevant to the industry, our handling or our procedures can be quite specific, so just bear that in mind. Of course, the opinions based throughout this webinar are ours and ours only. We do acknowledge that no two situations are the same, and that for any, and we encourage you to, obviously seek any independent advice regarding your own personal situations and also your key stakeholders, such as your property managers and accountants and solicitors, so forth. I guess finally, of course, we are not financial advisors, we are not planners or solicitors, and we're not qualified to give you any legal or financial advice. So these are opinions only, and for any financial advice, please reach out and speak to your own representatives in respect to that matter. So that's just the housekeeping out of the way. I don't have to go through housekeeping, Sam, such as where the toilets are, because it's Zoom, everyone's at home, they should know that by now. Tonight, we're really excited to all our rental providers and everyone joining. We're really excited to introduce you to a company called Conveni and a product that they have called Conveni PropPay. But before I introduce Sam and 100%, I guess maybe allow me to set the scene as to why we're introducing you to Conveni and Conveni PropPay. Obviously, with all the new regulations and changes to the Tenancies Act that are now in place, and I guess in particular with reference to the new requirements around or new requirements and particularly in around compliance, and as I guess as you, our rental providers, what you must do to adhere to and comply to these regulations. We had some concerns about the potential high costs involved, as well as some of the major works that some of you, and I will emphasize some of you, because for many of you, you may not have that much requirements, but for those that may, there could be some potential high costs and works required. So in that situation, obviously what we wanted to do was make sure that our rental providers, in fact, I guess probably first of all, to put it out there, most of you, many of our rental providers are one-off investors, your mum and dad investors that have the single property. And the idea of potentially having to find and fund thousands of dollars of work, and maybe in some cases, tens of thousands of dollars of work, is just simply too much and maybe not possible. And your only real option in the event that you do own a home that needs some significant work to get up to scratch with the new compliance may have been to sell. Now, obviously, if that's the case and decision that you go down, we want to be here to support you, but we really wanted to make sure that you had other alternative options. So with that in mind, and as a solutions-based business, we've worked really hard along with the corporate team at O'Brien's to try and find you an alternative to just having to sell your home. And that's where I get to introduce Sam Painter and Conveni. So Sam, welcome along tonight. Sam, for those of you listening at home, Sam is a co-founder and a sales director, the sales director at Conveni. Welcome, Sam. Welcome along.
Peter, thanks for having me. It's wonderful to be here, and we're very proud to be supporters and partners at O'Brien Real Estate Group.
Sam, we're going to bear in mind at 6 o'clock on a Wednesday evening, school's in full swing, people are cooking dinner. And, look, we get a lot of our landlords tune in and watch these after hours as well. So in the video that we often provide. But we're going to try and keep tonight nice and brief. But what I would love to do, and I'm going to make you a co-host in just a second, but maybe just first of all, while I'm getting you set up as a co-host, if you can just introduce yourself, maybe give a bit of a background to Conveni, and then I'll make sure you're ready to get your presentation up and running.
Sure, thank you. Well, Conveni is an Australian-owned independent cash flow solutions business dedicated to real estate. So we're looking at the real estate industry as a whole, and we want to provide cash flow solutions for the different segments. Like in the sales arena, we have an advertising product. In the property management arena, we have a prop pay product, and we also have a deposit product. Now, we're an interesting little group where Conveni is the Japanese name for a convenience store on the corner, and my business partner Cameron, his wife's Japanese, so that's where the name came from as a segue. The entire founding team we're all mad open water swimmers, and we swim in the bay every morning, and there's a technologist, a finance person, a real estate agent, and we all work very well together. And it was all born around the coffee table at the Royal Brighton Yacht Club. So that's what Conveni is all about. My background in real estate enabled me to see the stress points in the different areas of real estate, and together with the finance team and technology team, we've been able to develop this wonderful platform to assist everyone with their real estate businesses.
Terrific, Sam. I was just going to say that it's a convenient product, and that's where the name came from, which I think is just as good a segue. But the Japanese convenience store works just as well.
There you go.
Sam, I've made you co-host, so if you want to share your screen, you're more than welcome to at the moment, or I've made you host, I think. So if you want to put up your presentation, then I'll let you run through with our rental providers the product that you have on offer.
Okay, I'll just get that last bit there. Oops, sorry. There we go. Okay, so we've covered the introduction to what Conveni is all about. We're here to solve the problems, innovative cash flow financing solutions for vendors, landlords, and buyers. We have a strategic partnership with the O'Brien Group, and we've been with you since the beginning of the company, which is fantastic, well over 2 years ago now. We launched PropPay to provide a convenient cash flow solution with these changes in the legislation in mind, specifically developed for this particular time. So it's a very simple product. We'll fund up to $50,000, $750 minimum up to $50,000 over a 2-year period, and they can be the period can be at your choice depending on what your circumstances are. It's a flat 1.3% per month, and the best part about it is we'll fund in 48 hours, but we'll cover any cost to do with your property, your investment property. Now, what we're seeing with the compliance is we feel there's a bit of a sweet spot. The compliance inspections generally will cost somewhere between $800 to $1,000. But what they may unearth could be the replacement of a heater, a need to do a hot water service. If you've got a pool, you may need to do a pool fence. And as with all these things, they probably land at about the time you're due to pay your rates and your land tax for the year. So if you get the whole lot coming together and you've got a bill that's sitting on somewhere between $5,000 to $15,000, you may say, hey, look, rather than pull it out of my investment account, I'd really like to consider borrowing it. And the 1.3% per month is fully tax deductible along with all the other charges. And what we're seeing from a lot of rental providers around Victoria is they really want to keep their properties, but in some cases would rather keep the money in the investment account or would prefer to pay in another way. And that's where this product is being seen to be so flexible. So the important takeaway points to remember is whatever the funding amount is up to $50,000, we can cover. And we can do that at your choice from 3, 6, 12, up to 24 months. And the payments simply come out of the rent. And if there needs to be a bit of a top up, we recommend that a simple direct debit is set up at the start of the program via your property manager. So that's pretty much how it works. It's very straightforward. And I'm happy to jump in and take any questions that anyone would like to ask about what this product's all about.
Sam, what I might do is I just want to throw some practical, I guess, suggestions out there, and while people have the time to maybe make some questions. But essentially what Conveni is doing, and I might get you to throw host back over to me if you can, in case I need to put anything else back up on screen. But so like and I know I'm probably not allowed to call it this, right? But we are in essence calling this the afterpay of real estate, right? It works very much like an afterpay service. It's the ability to fund certain works without having to dive into your own bank account. So in the event that we may see some large bills come through with getting properties up to scratch in terms of the new requirements, you know, they might have a $2,000 bill, they might have a $10,000 bill. But Conveni is a product that actually allows, you know, they can apply for, and it will actually fund that for that percentage fee. They can negotiate a time frame anywhere between, I think you said 3 months and out to 2 years. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah. And
sorry.
Go ahead. It's important to note too in the application process, there's no credit reference check. It's simply what they call the KYC legislation, where we need to ID you so we know who we're lending the money to.
Okay, so I think that's really good to focus on. Let's talk about that application process. So let's talk practically first. How do they apply? Do they apply through us as their managing agent? Do they go direct through you? Let's inform them there.
Sure. So we have a very user-friendly portal, and your property manager will be well versed in how to use that. You can download the application forms directly from our website and apply directly, or your property manager will be able to assist you with a paper-based version to fill out and send back to us. Either way, whether it's directly through the portal or through your property manager, we can make it work for you. Even the telephone, and we can fill out the forms, no problem.
So, and the credit check, you said there's no real credit check.
There's no credit check. We just have to comply with the KYC legislation, which is Know Your Customer. So all we require is a driver's license or a Medicare card or a passport. And there's a link up through a company called Equifax, which just confirms that you are that person on the ID. Okay.
So speed of turnaround, how fast, and let's talk about how the funds are actually provided for the work.
Okay, that's a great question. Generally speaking, your property manager will arrange a series of quotes for the work, or you'll do that yourself. The quotes come in. All we require is a copy of the quote, the application form, and the management authority, and then we'll be able to approve that. You can consider yourselves pre-approved effectively, and we'll be able to approve and transfer the money within 48 hours.
Terrific. And the money is transferred over to the managing agent?
Correct. It goes to the managing agent, who will have us recorded as a creditor on the file, and then the payment will be made straight to the tradespeople.
So let's talk about the repayments, Sam, in reference to how those payments get made. They will be taken out of the rent being collected by the agency. Can the rental provider choose an amount? Like, can they work with you in reference to how fast that's paid off and how much? Is it the entire rent, or can they ask for it to come out in portions?
Oh, yeah, look, that's a very good question, and it can come out in any manner that you want over the 2-year period. Some people will want to have slightly lower payments and make a top-up payment, say with a tax return at the end of the year, or they want to have slightly higher payments and put a top-up in themselves each month. It's totally up to the rental provider, and we simply sit down and sort that out right at the beginning and work out what's best for them.
Fantastic. So in the event of cash flow for some of our rental providers, you know, obviously they've still got mortgages to pay. They may choose to elect a time frame and a repayment amount that still allows some of that rent to come in to assist with that payment of those mortgages.
Correct. Yeah. it's exactly how it's planned for. And by the same token, if we agree on a 2-year time frame, for example, and the decision is made to pay that after 1 year, we simply recalculate it 1 year. We don't charge the full 2-year worth of fees.
Fantastic. So we've already been asked with a few of the rental providers that we've spoken to around, is there any restrictions on what trades or what type of work gets done?
Not at all. Any cost associated with the investment property, we will fund. So trades, carpets, paint, gardens, anything to do with construction, and rates and charges and taxes are all covered.
So I think that's an important one there too, for our rental providers to take note of. That you mentioned rates, so this is a service that obviously we've investigated and worked with Conveni on, and it probably got brought to light much more because of these new regulations. But the reality is it's there for more than just the regulations. We've all had those months and those times when all those bills seem to pile up all at once. So it is a product that can be used in the event that just the rates notice hit and and a hot water service blows. It's got nothing to do with the new regulations and the changeover. It's just that there might be a substantial cost that's needed by some of our rental providers at any point in time. This product is there for you guys at any point in time. It is not just based around these new regulations and compliance. I just wanted to point that out because obviously that's what's probably brought it to light, Sam. It's probably what's made it really relevant. But it is a terrific product that can be used in any way, shape or form, as long as it's to do with that rental property.
Yeah, it's a very good point. And things that the pool fence is probably another big one that hasn't really stuck its head up lately. It's been pushed out for about a year. And the feedback from industry that we're hearing from the inspectors is that almost 80% of pool fences don't comply. So there's going to be some pretty hefty bills coming in around the place for people with pools, and this product is perfect for it.
So far to date, Sam, is there a bit of a trend on what we're seeing rental providers using Conveni for? Like, is there a bit of a regular occurrence?
The most common thing we're seeing already are gas heaters that simply don't comply. Older gas heaters, they're not flued correctly, and when that happens, the plumbers the inspectors and the plumbers have to just switch them off, turn the gas off, and then you come back. And generally, it seems that the new modern heaters are the way to go, and they're sort of a $3,000 to $5,000 exercise depending on the house.
And that brings me to another point too. So in the event of multiple tradespeople and multiple quotes needed, we can group those together, can't we? So in the event that we need a gas heater pulled out and a plaster in to re-plaster and an electrician to wire or whatever it might be, we can pull them together?
Absolutely. Bundle everything together, and that's just one simple, straightforward transaction. Probably what's really important to note at this point, we hadn't covered it, is generally speaking, at the end of the lease, you'll have a vacancy period, and this is the best time to do it. And so that's where all these compliance tests are required. So we do have a 2-month honeymoon period from the time we fund to the time you need to start paying it back, and because we recognise that there'll be a period without the income coming through.
Fantastic. I didn't know that, so I'm glad you threw that in. That was new.
Yeah, back to the webinar.
Yeah. So let's talk about multiple uses. So in the event that a rental provider requires the use of Conveni for the work we just spoke about, they're getting a gas heater, and then 3 months later they realise there's something else that also needs dealing with. There's a deck that needs rebuilding, or we get the electrical safety audit done, and there's an issue there. How would that work? Can they apply for a second set of funding? Does it group in together?
Effectively, every landlord's pre-approved for up to $50,000. So it's simply a matter of just adjusting the payments each month, and it moves forward from we advance the funds.
Terrific. So that would just change that particular contract. It wouldn't be necessarily a second set, and it starts from that point?
Not necessarily. I think we look at each case as it comes in and work out what's best for the landlord and the rental provider, I should say, and make it work. And if we need to stretch it out for a further period, we will.
Glad I'm not the only one still doing that, but that's okay. We've already handled credit qualifications, which is what we really wanted to make sure we ticked off on as well. It really, from I guess to our rental providers tuning in, this is something that the O'Brien Network and ourselves, Kirsty and myself, and Leslie and the team and the property managers have worked with. We've sort of tried to, we've tried to break it. And so far to date, we haven't been able to find a real weak link. It really is a terrific product. Kirsty, I just want to check if there's any other questions that we haven't covered up on, or if there's anything else in the Q&A. I can see a couple of questions popping up there.
Yeah, we have received a question asking if Conveni is available interstate.
Yes, it is. We're a national company, so we will provide funds all over Australia.
Fantastic. There's another question here to ask, ask how us as a business is a benefit to Conveni. So I guess I'm happy to answer that. I think it's just a fantastic product for our rental providers, and also it helps get the work done perhaps faster than we may have been able to if there's some budget restrictions. So I think it's just a value add to our clients and also to our renters to get the work done quickly.
Yeah, and I think, if I can just read into the tone of that maybe question a little bit, I don't know who's asked it, but this is certainly not something you need to use. It's not a facility that you must use. It's not a facility that we gain any benefits from. We've looked into a couple of different scenarios. Conveni was just the one that we felt provided the most beneficial solutions. You're welcome to fund it through personal loans. And for many of you, it won't be an issue because you won't need the funding. But we were very conscious already talking to a lot of our rental providers over this past 6 months while these new legislation requirements and the compliances have been rolled out, and while we've been learning about them, that there's going to be some significant costs. There has been for a long time, which some of the rental providers won't like to have heard, but there has been a bit of an old school in the back end of our industry that has felt that there needed to be a bond for our rental providers, or back then landlords, because we have had circumstances where those bills do pile up, and sometimes our rental providers and back then landlords just weren't in a position to pay for some of the urgent maintenance that just simply must be done and handled on properties. So there had been in the back end a bit of a push to bring in a bond requirement for landlords. I don't know that it was ever going to get up, but it's certainly been an industry chatted thing. A product like Conveni removes the need for that because there's very easy funding. So for many of you, it's a product that you won't need to worry about. You've got the cash reserves, you've got redraws, you've got credit cards. That's fine. But for those of you who don't, it's quite efficient. It's a very affordable, and it's a very quick process that we felt that we wanted to introduce you to. So certainly no benefits to us other than the fact that we're quite conscious that a lot of our landlords have been already considering, in the event they've got high costs, do they sell? And some of those decisions are not necessarily based on the right financial move for them, but the fact that they may not have been able to fund some of the works required. So we're hoping that this just gives an extra lever that some of our rental providers can pull. Was that the only other questions there, Kirsty?
Yes, that's all we've received so far.
One of the other ones that I know we get a little bit is in respect to, can this be used on properties other than their rental properties? So for their principal place of residence, for example.
A good question, and the simple answer is no. However, moves are afoot to develop a new property exactly for that reason. It's a very simple product, and it's connected to the real estate industry, and that's what we're here to solve. And we are, ever since the introduction of this product, we've been asked that question. So we're not far off from releasing the principal place of residence renovation package.
Fantastic. Sam, I think that's it for the questions. I haven't seen anything else pop up. I'm getting a nod from Kirst. Is there anything else you wanted to add before we finish up?
Oh, no, I think that, look, we've pretty much covered everything, but the important thing to note is, having been around the real estate industry for a long time, the asset of owning an investment property is really one of the Australian dream. And the longer you can hold on to it, the better off you'll be. And these products are specifically developed for people that want to keep and maintain a good quality property for a long period of time. So we're here to help.
Yeah, and I think it's important. We talk to our rental providers quite often, and we certainly discuss it in our team to our rental providers out there. It's a constant conversation with our property managers and portfolio managers around proactive maintenance. Too often landlords get fixated on the rental income, but there's two parts of an investment property, and that is the income that's received, and there's the capital gain. And capital gain will always improve better on a property that is maintained. So we call it proactive maintenance. What that actually is adding value to your capital net gain or your capital net wealth. And it's something that we invite you to consider. It's something that we discuss as a team. And again, a product like Conveni may be your solution there in the event that there are things that you see that could be beneficial to your property that maybe you just haven't had the budget allowed for. This could be an option for you. So I reckon that's it, unless there's anything else. I saw a little flash on the screen. Nothing else there. Oh yes, when can we start? Conveni product is available.
48 hours from application, we're good to go.
So, guys, our property managers all have access to the links required to get started. If you need it, just pick up the phone and give us a call. Most of the team are well versed at what the product can do, but ultimately we're just going to put you onto Conveni. It's not our product. It's not something that we provide. They're the experts in it. It's just a facility that we've been working with to make sure that you've got some options. So for those of you who do want further information, just reach out, shoot an email through to your property manager tomorrow, call the office, and we'll get you in touch with the team at Conveni. Done. Well, Sam, thank you very much for showing up. I'd love to ask you to reach behind you and grab one of those books off that shelf, but I won't do that to you.
There you go.
Thank you very much, mate. It's a pleasure being working with you over this last 6 months, getting to know Conveni and the product and all the team, and we're looking forward to a long-lasting relationship. And thank you very much for sharing your time on a Wednesday night.
Wonderful. Thanks, Peter. Thanks, Kirsty, and thanks, everybody. Goodbye.
No worries. Gang, thank you very much for showing up. Until next time, stay safe, and we will talk to you very soon.